Welcome to another episode of the Uncard Block. Today we will again be discussing Jovan Bradley, where he allows people to call in and manipulates their words and deceives them and makes them think they said what they did not say. He has no idea what he's talking about. He hasn't researched this at all. He will not debate on a fair platform. So to whoever it was that said, why don't you debate him? I'm perfectly willing to do that on a neutral platform. He is free to contact me. You can let him know. However, I contacted his handler and they said no. That Jovan wants to do other things, such as be on the Transatlantic show and again, be in control of how the debate goes, as opposed to letting someone else control both of us.
But I also don't think we should discount the difference between biological women and trans women. Like, I feel like a lot of the left tries to just discard that and engage them in everything when there are clearly differences and they have a different lived experience.
Yeah, sure. We don't, by the way. When it comes to cis women, which is the term we use for people whose gender identity aligns with their sex, and trans women, we do distinguish them from each other when comparing and contrasting their two different lived experiences or other differences in the group. We use the term cis and trans. But if we're talking about them without comparing or contrasting, we would just call both of them women.
Cis was a term created by a graduate student in the mid-90s. It really has no bearing in science because I can tell you from my experience, I do not identify as a man. I have talked to women that do not identify as women. We recognize that we are men or we are women. We do not pretend to be something else. We do not pretend like our brains were born in the wrong body. Jovan says we do separate the types of women because one is cis and one is trans. No, there are women and there are men that think they are women. However, they are not. They are men. And women who think they are men are still women. Talk to Buck Angel. Talk to Blair White. They recognize this and they don't play these games. So Jovan, again, has no idea what he's talking about.
A lot of biological women don't like being called trans women. Or
They're not called trans women.
Cis women.
Oh, sucks to suck. Sucks to suck for them. Truly. I will build them a bridge and hopefully they can get over it.
Oh, the arrogance and condescension with this guy. No, okay, Jovan, if that's the route you want to play, we are the majority. We say what we want to be called, not you, not some graduate student in the mid-90s, and just because it was a meme that ticked off. Okay. Cis women don't like being called cis women? Fine. Trans women don't like being called men? Oh, hurts to hurt. I'll build a bridge and hopefully they can get over it, Jovan.
And that the rate of athletes is low, that doesn't mean there's not a push to include them.
Wait. We don't separate sports by whether you're trans or not. Sports are just separated by gender. So if trans women are women, they should be able to compete
separated by sex
with women. Why?
That's my opinion.
Why?
There are inherent differences.
There are inherent differences between the sexes, so sports should be separated by sexes. So you're saying that yes, if it is the case that there is a difference in your biology that would give you some type of advantage, this reason you should be barred from competing with people without that biological advantage.
No, Jovan, they have never been divided by gender. Sports are divided by sex. Okay, how old are you? I'm old enough to know for a fact that they are divided by sex. All right, men and women. There are biological structures to men and women, male and female bodies that affect certain sports. The vast majority of them which are physical. Okay? And two, he did not say if there was a biological condition that gives you an advantage. No. He said male, female by sex. Women have a biology, men have a biology, and our biology dictates that men, on average, for the most part, 99% of the time, are going to be stronger than any women. So, sports that require strength, speed, physical endurance, the ability to take pain, those need to be separated. And those aren't biological advantages in the sense that I grew wings. They are biological advantages in that the sexes, just like all animals for the most part, especially mammals, we have different abilities. A male lion is bigger than the females. A silverback is bigger than the females. Jovan, you are stupid.
Yes.
Okay, so why do we let Michael Phelps swim?
Hmm?
Why do we let Michael Phelps swim?
So here's the bait and switch that Jovan has successfully used. He put words in his opponent's mouth and got his opponent to agree to them. Don't do that. Make sure you said what you said. The man said, the interlocutor said, divided by sex. Jovan turns that into, oh, so if somebody has a physical advantage, we shouldn't allow them compete. And the guy said, yes. No. For one thing, Jovan put words in his mouth, manipulated him, and now he's going for the old Phelps argument. Okay, Phelps, as far as I know, is a man. He is a biological man. That fulfills the criteria for competing in men's sports because he is a man, Jovan. But I know what you're going to say because I've heard this argument before. And this is one of the most dishonest arguments from the trans activist side, period.
Because he has, does he have a mutation or something?
Well, yeah, he has multiple. He has multiple mutations that grant him a biological advantage in swimming.
Thank you, Boo.
That's why he's so good at it.
Oh, really? Where's this genetic testing, Jovan? Where? Do you have access to Michael Phelps' genetics that show he has a mutation? Or does he just have a good coordination of genetic markers from his parents and grandparents that may give him these features? What's interesting about it, it sounds like Michael Phelps is actually kind of regressive. We come from primates, and primates notably have very small not abdomens, hips, short legs, big feet, arms longer than normal for us. And that's what he has. He has a wingspan longer than his standing height, like an ape, a longer torso. I don't know if that's ape-like or not, and shorter legs, like an ape. Of course, we are apes. So he gets less resistance from his legs. So it's actually not necessarily an advancement. It's more of a regression to a more primal state. Wow. So Jovan, you're wrong. His body also produces half the amount of lactic acid. Has that been tested? I don't know. Lets him stay active for longer periods. So what? He's a man. According to Scientific American, this is behind a paywall for me. He also trained very intensely to learn how to use these genetic traits to his advantage. His lung capacity is reported, so it actually hasn't been tested according to this. Whereas most of us have 6 liters, he has 12 liters. What else? The London 2012 Olympics. Of course, Michael Phelps is said to be 12 liters. His arm span is greater than his height. Yeah, like an ape. Short legs, flat back, thin hips. Sir Steve Redgrave, his lung capacity is 7 liters. This woman, Yelena Isinbayeva, can launch herself 5 meters. A double-decker bus is 4 meters. Okay, she's a woman though. Bradley Wiggins, he got enormous lung capacity inherited from a cyclist father. Wow. Not to mention, his intense training regime encourages his muscles to use the extra oxygen efficiently. Genetic trait. But these aren't mutations, Jovan. They're genetic traits. Okay. And maybe these genetic traits are associated with being men. And maybe some of these genetic traits are associated with being women. But we have established that Jovan doesn't know what the hell he's talking about again. Whoa!
Your claim was that it's the difference in biology, but Michael Phelps is okay because he was born that way, but trans people are also born that way. Like a trans woman having male physiology would be because she was born with male physiology. So I don't understand why Michael Phelps can do this, but they can't.
Do you not understand logic, Jovan? Do you not understand there are two sexes? Biological men can compete with biological men. TI men, what you call trans women, I call TI men, can compete with biological men. No one's stopping that, Jovan. Why do you think they are?
And there are
Why
definitely
don't
a
we
lot
just
of
make all
extremists,
sports
and I don't
co-ed?
think the left calls out its extremists, and I think that's a big reason
Sure,
why you
because
lost.
I don't think the extremists like matter. I think people that actually care about this shit, like the extremists on both sides who care about like the sports issue, are just like loud for no reason. I also think like the right doesn't have any substantial evidence to back up their claims, because what we know based on like studies done in sports medicine is that when you are on feminizing hormones for 2+ years, the advantage goes away.
Seriously, do you guys who watch him, so I know I've gotten some of you comment on my show, do you believe what he says? Do you never check up what he says? He's just repeating stuff that's been told to him. He never has checked this out for himself. This is deja vu because I actually just did a video about the idiots on the transatlantic show that talked about similar things or exactly the same things. So here's a study from Arthur Information. Let's see. Emma Hilton, Faculty of Biology and Medicine, University of Manchester. Tommy Lundberg, Department of Laboratory Medicine. Tommy, also, apparently, Unit of Clinical Psychology. So, not morons like Jovan. Experts, not like Jovan. Performance gap between males and females becomes significant at puberty and often amounts to 10 to 50%, depending on the sport. Performance gap is more pronounced in sporting activities relying on muscle mass, explosive strength, particularly in the upper body. Longitudinal studies examining the effects of testosterone suppression on muscle mass and strength in transgender women consistently show very modest changes, where the loss of lean body mass, muscle area, and strength typically amounts to approximately 5% after 12 months of treatment. Thus, the muscular advantage enjoyed by transgender women is only minimally reduced when testosterone is suppressed. Sports organizations should consider this evidence when reassessing current policies regarding participation of transgender women in the female category of sport. So, there you are. NBC News, trans women retain athletic edge after a year of hormone therapy. Study finds. Now, I do think Jovan said 2 years, but show your evidence, Jovan. Send it to me. My email is on my page. They do say for the Olympic level, I'd say probably 2 years is more realistic, but that's probably not necessarily. So, Jovan, should we restrict transgender athletes from participating at all for 2 years? I got to start doing that. All right, let's see. For the first 2 years after starting hormones, the trans women in their review were able to do 10% more push-ups and 6% more sit-ups than their cisgender female counterparts. But it does say, after 2 years, they were fairly equivalent to the cisgender women. 2 years on, trans women were still 12% faster in the 1.5 run than their cisgender peers. With sit-ups, the trans men were comparable to the cisgender men before treatment and actually exceeded them after a year on testosterone. Wow. Let's see. Oh, here is 578 plus male victories in female sports, aka males who identify as trans or trans women. All right. So, Jovan, for one thing, he's pushing this testosterone, all this stuff. So, Jovan, does that mean you don't advocate for self ID? If a man, say me, if I just go, I'm a woman, do I have to take all that stuff? Do I have to get breast implants? Do I have to take hormones? Or can I just say that and for the rest of my life dress as a woman? If Jovan says yes, then he's violated his own argument, because that means he would say, okay, those males who identify as trans cannot compete in women's sports because they have not been on estrogen. Which is it going to be, Jovan? Are you going to say they can't participate? Or are you going to say they can and therefore violate your own argument? So let's see what we have here. Oh, look at these awesome men beating up women. Basketball. Harriet Cunningham winning the Canadian Collegiate Athletic Association Championship title, averaging 19 points and 14.9 rebounds. He was named the Female Athlete of the Year, CCAA Championship MVP, and received CCAA First Team All-Canadian honors. Harry Hanlon scored 26 points in a girls' high school basketball game in San Francisco. This is the third consecutive game where he's scored more than 1/3 of the team's points. Boxing. Oh, look, a man knocked out a woman during a sparring session. A boxer refused to get in the ring with a male boxer, but go build him a bridge, Jovan, and let him punch you. Cross country, Q sports, cycling. Emily Bridges and Lily Chant, both men, won first and second place respectively at the Thunder Crit Race in London 2022. Criterium Racing. I have no idea what that is. Let's see. Let's learn something. What is Criterion? What's a bike race around a closed circuit? Okay, so a bike race. They won. Oh, look, another man won the women's 345 at the Harlem Skyscraper Cycling Classic. Wow, Jovan, you must feel happy about this. Oh, mountain biking, track and road. What else we have? Dancing, darts, discos, dodgeball. Wow. Fencing, football, golf, hockey, handball, hockey. Jiu-jitsu. Oh, look. Alice Jimmy McPike took home silver in the women's absolute no-gi interdeterminate category after beating out a different female athlete at the NAGA Grappling Championship in 2023. Man, out wrestling a woman. Wow. Kickboxing. A male kickboxer defeated a female in 2008. Miss Martial Arts. I'm sure we all have heard of Fallon Fox. Pair running. Pickleball. Ooh, powerlifting. Oh, yeah. Those men lifting them weights. Of course, we don't keep those. That's our skeletal build when we take hormones. Oh, I'm tired of that now. Female athletes lost nearly 900 medals of transgender competitors. Two transgender competitors, UN report. Over 600 female athletes across 29 sports have lost medals, sparking ongoing debates on gender inclusivity. Wow, Jovan, you must be proud.
Goes away. So, like,
Uh,
what would the issue be?
I feel like I have a lot of issues trusting medical industries that I feel like would be financially pushed to profit from
What financial
assisting
benefit?
gender-affirming care.
What,
Like the Medicare
okay.
industry, all the people you're telling me they don't, and therapy
So
they don't
the
profit off
studies are all wrong because they're being paid for by the medical industry.
I'm not saying that objectively.
Okay.
This is just something I have trouble trusting. I'm not saying I know the objective facts.
Do you have counter studies possibly that would like say the opposite? Also, do you have your speaker back on because you're echoing?
Sorry, it's because I'm looking things up. I need to, if I could turn on my computer, but that would take a second.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if you have like counter studies.
Oh boy, here we are. From the National Review. Gender industrial complex makes billions annually. Before I go into this, I wanted to address Jovan said counter studies. What studies did he present? He can share his screen. What studies did he present? Did he name names? Don't know, because he didn't. All right, let's see. Estimates of the complex sex trait modification process per individual. Of course, this doesn't include people that just ID and dress like women. These are people that actually do the work. Male transitioner, total cost of fully transitioning, $87,000 to $410,000, assuming 5 years of puberty blockers, 60 years of hormone use from age 16 to 76, the average age of life expectancy. 1,000 total for hair removal treatment and 200 total for vocal training. Vocal training. Female transitioner, fully transitioning, 66,000 to 605,000, assuming 5 years of true puberty blockers and 60 years of hormone use. Wow. That makes for a multi-billion-dollar industry. Wow. Yeah, so, you can't say that this might not factor into the promotion of this stuff. And I bet it does.
If it is the
not
case,
all women. You could take out that's an anecdotal anecdotal evidence. Like if we have multiple examples of them winning these whole tournaments, everyone being frustrated with it, and I also think it's just ignoring the female community.
No, we don't. Those multiple examples are of people using feigning outrage at a thing to grift, because we can look at a really direct example. We can look at Leah Thomas and Riley Gaines, and Riley Gaines has made fucking money off of being a conservative anti-trans grifter because Riley Gaines tied for 5th place with Leah Thomas. Riley Gaines wasn't going to fucking win that shit. Leah Thomas being in that event did not make Riley Gaines lose. Riley Gaines was not good enough to win. So what the fuck's our issue?
But that's not all. In addition to losing out on opportunities to Thomas, we also had to share a locker room and change in front of this 6'4", fully intact, naked male. And as I've testified previously, we were not forewarned of this arrangement. We were not asked for our consent, and we did not give our consent to this exposure and to be exploited.
So, Jovan, I don't give a flying frack if you think she's a prude, if you think she needs to get over it and you're going to build a bridge for her. I bet she could whoop your ass anyway. But it goes beyond just her tying with Leah Thomas. And know that Leah Thomas went on to win and defeat women with his manly body and his mutations you claim he has. But maybe also, not just that Riley herself was offended, maybe she's also standing up for her friends that maybe aren't as well spoken, maybe don't want to be in the spotlight, and Riley is brave enough to do so, to speak against this, because we know that you and your allies will ostracize and get people kicked off of platforms because of your views. But let's just look at one of Riley's friends, and maybe that's why Riley also speaks up, just like you speak up when you're not trans.
My teammates and I were forced to undress in the presence of Leah, a 6'4" tall biological male, fully intact with male genitalia, 18 times per week. Some girls opted to change in bathroom stalls, and others used the family bathroom to avoid this. When we tried to voice our concerns to the athletic department, we were told that Leah's swimming and being in our locker room was a non-negotiable, and we were offered psychological services to attempt to re-educate us to become comfortable with the idea of undressing in front of a male. To sum up the university's response, we, the women, were the problem, not the victims. We were expected to conform, to move over, and shut up. Our feelings didn't matter. The university was gaslighting and fear-mongering women to validate the feelings and identity of a male. I know of women with sexual trauma who are adversely impacted by having biological males in their locker room without their consent. I know this because I am one of these women. I was sexually assaulted on June 3rd of 2016. I was only 16 years old. I was able to forgive my attacker, but violence against women still exists. Let us not forget the viral Me Too movement that empowered female victims to speak up. It casts a spotlight on the widespread prevalence of sexual assault and abuse, including in scholarly and educational institutions. Individuals on this committee have previously stated violence against women is all too common. I am grateful for those members who have brought awareness to the violence against women in the past, but unfortunately, there's still much to be done. As a sexual assault survivor, many policies pushed today completely ignore my experiences and many women like me.
There you go, Jovan. Maybe it's more than medals. Maybe it's dignity, respect. Maybe it's the spaces that women fought for to have when there was a time when they didn't have them. But no, you want to sit there and go, boo-hoo, must hurt for them. I'll build them a bridge. And if you do want to say that after hearing that young lady speak, catch me outside.
She's sad she
What
tied
sport
for
was
fifth
that?
place. She's at Riley Gaines. She's sad she tied for fifth place. Boo-hoo. You should have done better.
Pretty brave online, Jovan. You know, I bet you could talk to Riley Gaines. She'd probably talk to you. And she would just demolish you as far as this argument goes. Just like you won't debate me because you're a coward. Look at this little smug look. Jovan's so proud of himself that he approves of men beating women. Oh, poor Riley Gaines. Oh, Jovan, he's just so, oh my gosh, he's just so adorable with his
Other cis
dumbass
women beat you.
fracking
But we don't hear her
grin on his
complaining about
face.
them. She only complains about the person she tied for fifth place with. Like she would have done it, like she wouldn't have still come in fifth place. It's fake outrage. It's faux outrage to try to spark some. It's literally to grift. It's literally so they can make money off of the conservative right.
What part of idiot does this guy not understand? Oh, the part that applies to him. They were women, Jovan, not a man.
I think that we have brains, and in our brains, we have a gender identity, and that gender identity will basically allow us to align our subjective perception of our sex and how that sex is aligned in our body. So it's about whether or not you align with your sex, so you experience no distress by your sex, or you disalign with your sex, so you feel some distress with your sex. You feel that distress. That's what it is.
Yeah, he thinks. He thinks all this stuff. What evidence do you have beyond someone say so? What mutations do trans people have that make them think they're the opposite sex? Now, yes, gender dysphoria is a mental illness. Buck Angel admits that. He has had gender dysphoria all his life. And I'm calling him he because I respect Buck Angel. And if he wants to be called he, if he doesn't care and wants to be called she, I don't know. But Buck Angel was born female, and when he was about 30 years old, decided to transition, but still says he has a mental illness. And he admits it's a costume. He is not a woman. It's a costume. And you have goobers like this grifting for money, appealing to the left to make money. Goobers like Jovan. Now, granted, he's probably not making as much money as Riley Gaines, but she is an elite athlete, and Jovan obviously isn't. Neither am I. You can tell by looking. So I don't know what else more. I have a couple more videos of Jovan's. I don't know if he will just repeat the same things, but it's quite obvious he has not done his research. He did not listen to Riley Gaines' testimony. He just lays it all on, oh, she's just whining because she tied with a man and it wouldn't have cost her anything. What about her dignity? How do you think her father feels, Jovan? Are you a parent? Maybe you don't care how your children feel, but I bet Riley's father does. And they are Christians. I think you're an atheist. I am. And, I think their beliefs are bunk, but they have First Amendment rights. And they have First Amendment guarantees that their rights will not be infringed upon unnecessarily. And it is not necessary for Will Thomas to be in their locker room. It's not. I don't know if Will Thomas fought for that. I don't know if the college did it, but it wasn't necessary. And even if Will Thomas did not fight for that, demand that, as if he's entitled to anything besides what men should get, even if he did not, and the college said, hey, we're going to let you go in the women's room, he should have said, no, it will probably bother some people, so I won't. And instead, he thought so highly of himself and that he deserves all this, that other swimmers were forced to go change in the bathroom, go to cleaning closets, which I'm sure Jovan has no sympathy for. If that little girl that got raped when she was 16, you just don't care about her feelings, right? Right? You just don't care. Boo-hoo. Boo-hoo. Sucks for them, right? So you people that listen to Jovan, is this really the trans ally you want? The one who doesn't do their research? The one who manipulates people into saying what he wants them to say? The one who won't debate me or anyone else that I know of on a fair platform? I mean, I also offered that we could get him, if he wants a bigger name, I could probably work on that. Didn't want to do it. So it can't just be that he wants, since I'm a small channel. But is that the trans ally you guys want to support? That you want to give $5 to or $20 to? Because he's just grifting you. He's obviously just grifting you. He hasn't done any research into this area. He's just listened to all the talking points, and he's very good at manipulating his interlocutors. That's all he is. So if you made it this far, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. I will do my best to point out nonsense, whether it's religious or this trans ideology. Note, I don't endorse any sort of violence against trans people. I do not. I do not endorse any sort of harassment of trans people. My daughter has trans friends. When I meet them, I call them he, her, she, they, whatever, as long as they're respectful to me. If they ever not, then I will not. But this invading of female spaces by males needs to stop. This is not doing the trans movement any good, and you need to decide what you want. Do you want just respect? Do you want to be treated like other people, which I agree you should? Or do you want to cross these boundaries and stir up people so much that it contributed to the election of Donald Trump?